Yes, hello and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Skull podcast. I'm your host John Scott, joined as always by my co-host Matt Essex, and we are here. We're going to be reviewing live on this podcast last night's WWE No Mercy SmackDown pay-per-view. Quite a mouthful now because it's brand split business, but not only that, we're going to also be taking a lot of questions. Had loads of questions in, guys, from everybody. Just to let you guys know, if I don't get round to answering the questions with Matt, as always, at some point on my travels, I always tend to reply via an email. So if you don't get a mention, or you know, we have similar questions sometimes that come in, I just kind of root through and I try and just sum it up in one go. But let's find out how Matt's getting on. Matt, how are you? And you know, seems like a while now, because obviously last week we went back in time for a retrospective of King of the Ring, but we're in modern day again, and I have to say we're back with another pay-per-view just like that.
Yeah, it never seems too far away from a pay-per-view anymore, does it? No,
and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Currently, we certainly have a lot of emails telling us those thoughts. But Matt, going into last night, obviously, you know, we're kind of, you know, we've got so much content going on. What we've just coming off the heels of the Raw, you know, the Raw pay-per-view. Now, then going towards SmackDown. It's been a little bit bumpy going into this next one, and I've got to say, you know, I'm not sure 2 pay-per-views a month is quite necessary. Even though fans were worried, okay, if you don't have 2, that means one brand could get quite stale by going like, you know, 7 or 8 weeks on the trot without kind of a conclusion. But I've got to say, Matt, I mean, to be honest, you could just have some of those conclusions on like the show and just do like, I don't know, you know, a few of these matches with payoffs in it, you know, during the episodes. I'm not so sure whether it's absolutely necessary to have this kind of pay-per-view all the time as often as we're getting it. But yeah, I guess that's something we'll talk about at the end of this, Matt. Did you catch the pre-show, the kickoff last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did catch that, but there didn't seem to be an awful lot of content on that.
No, no, there wasn't, to be fair. I mean, where do we start? The Hype Bros and, you know, American Alpha defeated the Ascension and the Vaudevillains. I mean, these kind of matches, Matt, they sort of, you know, you scratch your head and you wonder, is it just a case of just sending out the ones that aren't on and just getting them a place just to do something for a little while, because it's not exactly mind-bogglingly storyline filling what was going on here. But you know, like I say, normally on this podcast, like I always say, we don't really give these a score, because it's kind of unfair, I feel, to a lot of these kickoff pre-show matches, because they're really in a lot of ways an effective tool to get people to you know, maybe last minute subscribe to something. I don't know, but yeah, it wasn't bad, Matt, but you know, it is what it is. It's a little bit of filler, I suppose. What was your take from the last night's kickoff?
Yeah, I don't really mind it so much, but this one, it definitely felt like we was just seeing a match that, like, it could have been on any WWE live event, you know. And it just felt like you said, they were just bringing out the guys that weren't there. I mean, everybody was probably looking forward to seeing the Alphas, but they weren't at the pay-per-view, so this was a way to sort of show them off, even though they weren't involved. It was a little bit unnecessary, really.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, because, you know, American Alpha especially, like, there's such a popular tag team. Like, people, you know, people are really into these guys, and you know, you don't kind of want to, you know, it's right that they should work themselves up, but you don't want to kind of like keep putting them on this sort of situation of a kickoff, because it also identifies them as you know, not doing a lot as well. Like, it's like nothing's going on for them, so it's not always the best place to get. Nonetheless, you know, it wasn't bad. I thought it was good for what it was. I thought all the guys done fairly good. No real surprise on the winners, really, and the way that went down. Another feature, Matt, I believe we got it on this one because I only got. I have to say I missed most of the kickoff show. But did you catch the Kurt Hawkins part of this kickoff?
No, I didn't actually. No, I usually just zip through looking for the match.
Well, that was a much non-event. We had a few emails in about that, and people were scratching their head wondering what the hell was going on. But basically, he comes out with all this music, and the music's kind of him talking over it, but he's not on a microphone talking. It's like pre-recorded that he's talking himself to the ring, and I mean, I guess it was supposed to be a lot better than it went down, but nobody was interested. Everybody was disinterested. It got a terrible reaction, both bad and good, which is never a good thing if you're in between that's for sure. And the payoff was, apparently, I told everyone I was going to be on the SmackDown pay-per-view in the ring, and here I am. And then he walked back out again. That's all it was, and I don't know if it was supposed to get a jeer or a bit of a laugh because that's what he did, but he didn't get anything, and it was a little bit flat. So yeah, not exactly a great start for him, who's trying to develop this new character, this persona that he's going on. But let's now get into the actual show itself, Matt, because we go to No Mercy. The opening is what it is. It's the usual sort of shenanigans, I guess. And right off the bat, we get the WWE Championship match, Matt. And was you? I've had lots of emails in about this, and I've got a theory as to why this was on first. But also, I'm left. I think I'm going to say this a lot during this whole pay-per-view, scratching my head. I think it's going to be like hashtag on that one, because I really was on this one. Matt, the pacing of this, I mean, we talk about pacing a lot on this podcast, and people now, funny enough, have actually, they start to email and tell me about, okay, they get it, they get the idea of pacing if you're in the audience. WWE title match, straight off the bat. AJ Styles, he's going to be involved in the triple threat, obviously. What was your thoughts on having that first and foremost at the start?
Well, I've got to say, I think nearly every match was in the wrong position on this pay-per-view. But yeah, having the heavyweight title on first is kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit insulting to the heavyweight champion. Like people are supposed to pay to see them, and what they possess is supposed to be what everyone else is fighting for. So to have them on first just kind of seems like counterintuitive of what they're trying to achieve, trying to give that belt prestige. But yeah, I think I might know the reason why it was on first as well. But that being said, even if there was something else on another channel to watch, this is a network exclusive. People can come back and watch this at another time.
Exactly.
Don't necessarily have to watch it live, do they?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Now, obviously, last night the presidential debate was going on, but look, when have WWE ever done this in the past? Like in the Attitude Era, if there was a presidential debate and Raw went up against it, man, they didn't just quit like this and say, well, we're going to have to put Austin and Rock out straight away because they're going to be switching over. So we're just going to give up. Rather than being an alternative to this sort of stuff, it's kind of like they just gave up and said, you know what, we'll have to put it out first. We're going to have to put it out first because, and then it makes all the other matches seem absolutely worthless after that. I mean, all of a sudden the main event spot becomes a nightmare spot through whoever's on the card last night. But for me, I did not like that, and for the same reasons that Matt said. This is a network special. It's not even a pay-per-view. It's not like, and if it was a pay-per-view, if someone's actually bothered to pay, I don't know, $15, $20, whatnot, £15 here, whatever, are you really going to waste that and change the channel? I don't think you would. So I think you'd be a pretty committed fan to be paying that sort of whack anyway. So quite frankly, it was a network special. I don't know what the figures are. I mean, I'll be interested to see. Obviously, there would have been a huge turn off now, because this was almost like telling us to do it, Matt. In a way, this was almost giving us license to say, okay, go ahead, see you later.
I mean,
even
for the people in attendance, some of them might have felt, well, why am I here now? Because I've seen the main event already in the first match.
Yeah.
So it kind of did leave you wondering why they would do this. There was no real reason for it. I mean, maybe they get a few more people staying on the network thinking, well, I've seen that match, the heavyweight title match was first. Maybe I'll stay on and watch this because it's getting quite interesting. But then just like you said, but I have to go with you. I think more people would just turn it off now. Being like, I've seen the best of No Mercy, now I can move on.
Yeah.
And who says they're going to come back and watch the rest of it?
Yeah, I can't imagine who came up with that idea, and, whether it was a load of yes people just thought this was a great idea in a meeting or what. But for me, this was not the brightest idea in my mind. I think working towards this main event would have been so much better if you'd have given this the proper hype. I think people would have. This is the match that people really would have wanted to see on the night. This was the one, that's the main event. So AJ Styles, John Cena. And Dean Ambrose. So, I don't know. But the match itself, I mean, the first thing I've got in my notes here, Matt, as well, is that oddly enough that they announced all three guys and then went to a hype video, a hype package kind of thing, which was a bit strange. And I've got a few other notes here, Matt. And I don't know if this was all the way through the card or if it was just my eyes in the end. But the camera angle last night was shot very differently during a lot of these bouts. Like, they had the sort of camera that kind of goes over the audience. People that have been to the events would have seen that crane kind of shot. And they used that quite a lot last night, I noticed. So you was almost on a level with the ring. You were on a level with the ring mat, as opposed to having that long shot that you'll see the first members of the audience straight away. That you're looking across. So I thought that was a bit strange. I don't know if that's just a SmackDown thing or they're trying to make it look different from Raw. I have no idea. But a few notes there. The match itself, Matt. I mean, obviously we get to it. What was your overall feelings going into this? Was you anticipating something special? Being that it is AJ Styles, or was you just going to sort of wait and see what we get?
I was expecting something a little different. I was expecting something very high caliber. But seeing as all three of these guys, they do work at the top level and they're all capable of pulling off a 5-star match if they put the effort in. Mm-hmm. But I think what we was left with, it wasn't the case. Yeah. I think it was a good match. I'm not dissing the match. I'm saying it was a good match. But I'm just saying I was expecting something to make it stand out. I think this was quite forgettable in the end. I don't think anyone's going to be putting this down as match of the year.
No, people. We had a few emails and they said, it was great to have this as to kick off the show almost. It was great, but what you got to remember is, I remember a time where we did have it would be often